Shiro Games, the developers behind the recently announced Dune Spice Wars 4X strategy game, has done an AMA session on Reddit recently, an Ask Me Anything session, where a bunch of the members of the community, a bunch of fans, just went onto Reddit and asked the developers a lot of questions. And in this video, I want to run down through most of the important questions that was mentioned in the Reddit thread. Now, if you do want to go through all of the questions, I will leave a link in the description below, or if you want to jump to a specific question in this video, I will leave timestamps to each specific question, so you don't have to go through the entire video if you want to. But basically, I'm gonna run down through most of the important questions and maybe give a thought or two through some of the questions. But without further ado, here is the very first question. We've seen your faction can be led by the Duke or Baron. What about other characters? Dune is a rich universe full of characters like that. If there aren't leaders, will they feature in another capacity? Fade and Gurney and many important characters are counselors in the game. There are characters you choose along with your faction and who bring specific abilities. As a player, you can use them to fill in areas where your faction is lacking or double down on its strengths. Will the game feature House Corrino as a playable faction? We haven't announced all the factions yet, only Atreides and Harkonnen. Let's just say there will be both houses and non-house factions in the future. Are you thinking of adding multiplayer mode options, co-op or versus into the game? Yes, there will be multiplayer added during the early access. No specific modes yet, although we do have a few ideas as we're focusing on getting the core gameplay right for now. Will there be any recurring characters from the books? Yes, most of the main characters from book 1 will make an appearance, and most of those who won't now will do in future content. Are there any plans to bring Spice Wars to consoles? I know RTS games don't always do well on consoles, but I would definitely be interested. It's still hard to tell at this point, but we did port Northgard on Nintendo Switch, Xbox and PlayStation, so maybe someday. I just want to add to this that the RTS market is pretty open on the consoles at the moment. There's not really any massive RTS game on consoles, so if they do port this to consoles, then they will basically take that market by force, as like I said, there's not really many RTS, especially 4X RTS games on consoles right now, so it'll definitely be a good idea to port this game to consoles. Since the Emperor takes taxes in-game, does that remove him from ever being a faction? I would really like to play with the Sardaukar. Removes is a really strong word, with a wink emoji, so that kinda unofficially confirms that the Emperor will be a playable faction in the game, but they'll probably announce it at a much later date. Will this have gameplay similarities to Westwood's Command & Conquer and their Dune games? It is real-time strategy, but it's not RTS gameplay in the sense of high APM and micro versus macro performance. Dune Spice Wars is more slow-paced in its movements and battles, and it also has many 4X elements, politics, spying, economy, etc. So there also confirms that because Dune Spice Wars is a 4X RTS, it's not traditional RTS gaming like building your base anywhere and that kind of Command & Conquer Age of Empires style gameplay. Will the Spacing Guild be represented in any way? Of course, the Spacing Guild is helping the player and the other factions to bring newcomers to Arrakis. You will be able to infiltrate it in order to increase the number of people joining your cause. How unique are you able to make each house? In Northgard, each clan has a specific mechanic that they focus around. Some are rather simple, while others are much more overbearing, like the Dragon's Claw Slave and Sacrifice mechanic. It will vary depending on factions, but generally the game is more asymmetric than Northgard. Some unrevealed factions have very unique ways to interact with the game. What role will the Fremen play in the game? Will they be a separate faction to the houses? Are they related to the villages we saw in the previews? The fact that the marketing guys have a hunter-seeker hovering over my desk probably means I should not talk about this topic yet. They are indeed related to the villages we've seen in the previews and our stream a couple of weeks back. I cannot divulge any further information on the involvement in the game beyond that at this time though. Make of that what you will. This is a very interesting response because it makes me wonder if the Fremen will be a completely playable faction on their own, completely different house essentially on their own, separate from regular units that you can get in the game, but hopefully you will get more information on this soon. Microtransactions? Absolutely not. That is a fantastic answer, and I'm so happy to see that microtransactions will not be a part of this game. The next question is a fantastic question, and I'm very happy the way the developers responded to this one. The question is, what will make this unique outside of it being just 4X Dune themed? A lot of thematic aspects of what makes Dune unique are translated as gameplay systems in this game, and there are things you won't find in other games. As an example, the whole exploration system is very specific to Dune. Units have a supply stat that measures how long they can survive in the desert. You can improve that with techs or buildings, improved still suits, paracompass, etc. The wind strength of each region makes traveling even harder. Deep deserts are like seas that you cannot cross unless they are very narrow until you have those ticks. And that's if a sandworm doesn't come for you. Pro tip, aim for the rocky areas. Finally, you can also create a network of airfields to move troops around without risking death in the deserts. The political and spying system are also very specific. You can win by assassinating other leaders if you think you can pull it off. We're doing what we always did with other Shira Games title. We're innovating from what already exists. Dune Spice Wars is a 4X game but with some aspects of RTS, including combat, that really changes the feel of the game, making it pretty chill with peaks of pressure. What are the other two factions? I can't say right now, but you can find out at least one of the two next week on stream. Hint, emphasis on factions, not houses. So here again, they talk about factions and not houses, so it kind of hints to me that the Fremen might be a faction in the game and not specifically a house, but I mean, it's good to know that next week we'll find out what is the new faction. Will it be moddable? Not at launch, but it's definitely something we are discussing. We know that with the type of game, a modding scene can be beneficial not only for the players, but the overall lifespan and long-term viability of a game, and we're keeping that firmly in mind for the future development of Spice Wars. This is a long shot, but do you have any updates on the release day of Early Access? The game looks great, by the way. Not something we can share right now, but probably sooner than you might think. Stay tuned. What will be the monetization scheme of this game? We'll stick it on Steam and then people can pay money to buy it. Honestly, I think we'll have an introductory price for the Early Access launch that will increase when we reach full release further down the line. It's far too early for any thoughts about DLC. We're focused entirely on making the best and most feature-rich game possible right now, and zero plans for any in-game currencies or microtransactions. First of all, fantastic job bringing Dune to us once again. I got a question and it's regarding the Ornithopters, my favorite air vehicle. Can you explain the mechanics of its gameplay? How does it move across the battle? Its power versus other units, etc. At the beginning of the game, Ornithopters are mainly used for scouting your environments. Depending on your technological advancements and the faction you chose, you'll have the possibility to weaponize them or use them as support units for your ground assault. Steam Deck compatibility? Not in the cards right now, but definitely something we can explore further down the line. The system is awesome and we have a dev kit in the studio, so never say never. Are there any features of Arrakis that you had to change from the book? The game map is procedurally generated, so the disposition of features will change each game. On a broader level, we worked with a geologist specialist in deserts to strike a balance between realism and attractiveness of the landscapes. He gave us access to hundreds of detailed satellite pictures of deserts from all over the world, and even Mars. What you'll see in the game is relatively accurate depiction of a geology of a sand and rock planet with very little water. What are the 4 X's? Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. Very fitting for a game set in the Dune universe, I think. On the technical side of things, how resource hungry will Dune Spice Wars be? Can we expect it to be as demanding as Northgard, or should we prepare for needing a better PC to run the game? Trying to ensure as many PC configurations from low spec to high will be able to run the game as possible. I will be regularly harassing the devs if the game doesn't run on my 3-year-old laptop with integrated graphics, don't worry. What will the difference be between factions? Is it just different units like the ones you've shown, or will there be different mechanics between factions like Northgard? Also, will there be Ornithopters? In the books, each faction has different relationship with Arrakis itself. Atreides and Harkonnens are not on the planet for the same reasons. We chose to put this at the basis of the faction system. Each of them will have different ways to expand through consolidation, negotiation, cultural assimilation, to wage war, the different units you refer to explore or trade with others. In the interview with Eurogamer, you mentioned that you are sticking to what's in the books for now. What interests me is the statement is the for now qualifier. Does this mean you are open to the inclusion of an Ordos faction in post-release DLC? Anything is possible in the future. Dune hosts such a rich, detailed world full of characters, events, history, and more to draw from, and we're incredibly excited to explore this world throughout Early Access and beyond. But again, we're not thinking about DLC right now. It's way too early for anything like that. And there you have it. Those are the top questions that I could find on the Reddit thread. Again, the link to this Reddit thread is in the description below, and there is a lot more questions, but a lot of them are duplicate questions, like people ask about console ports over and over, just in different ways. So there's no point in going through every single question, because like I said, there's a lot of duplicate questions in the AMA, so people didn't read the questions that's already been answered, they just asked the same question over and over, or the developers just, answered every single question without, thinking that, one question basically covers all of the other questions. But anyway, overall, there's quite a few new information to be gathered from this AMA session. Most of it, or the most important thing, is the fact that the Fremen might be a playable house or faction, and next week they're going to announce a new house and or faction. So next week's stream is definitely going to be an interesting one, but without a shadow of a doubt, I'm very excited about Dune Spice Wars, even more so now because of the fact that the marketing train is really rolling out for this game. I mean, they didn't mention a specific time or date for early access, but with the question on a release date for early access, they did say that, you know, expect more soon. So I'm expecting that it is now March, beginning of March, so I'm expecting that early access is likely gonna hit mid to end of April, maybe even the beginning of May, with a full release next year. So hopefully we'll get a release date and more information on this game. Well, we are getting more information on this game next week during next week's stream, so that's definitely something to be excited about. So if you're excited on Dune Spice Wars, then you're already at the right channel, and if you're new here, then why not click that subscribe button and click that like button. It takes you a second and it really supports the channel out. But let me know in the comments below why you are mostly excited about Dune Spice Wars, if you are excited. And for more gaming content, check out the rest of my channel. If you enjoyed this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, then give me a thumbs down, but please tell me why so I can improve my videos. My name is Frank, I'm the RedTieGuy, and frankly, thank you for watching. Catch you guys in the next video.